Welcome to Philosophy Point with Paul Kolberg, exploring life's deeper questions, one thought at a time. In this series, we uncover the one true teaching of Jesus, the real meaning behind his parables, the truth about the resurrection, and his forgotten link to Kabbalah. It's not religion, it's revelation. So let's begin. The God problem. For most of us, there is a problem with the God portrayed by traditional religions. It's not a small issue. It's a fundamental inconsistency that gnaws at the core of faith. As I noted in the introduction to Jesus and Kabbalah, there is a contradiction between the often promulgated God of love and peace and the anthropomorphic, jealous, vindictive king or judge that we encounter in the Bible. It doesn't add up, does it? And what about the exclusivity? Each religion claims that their God is the true God, and that those born outside their faith are doomed. If their assertions of exclusivity are correct, then surely each of them is speaking of a different God. What does that say about the God of love? Could a God of infinite understanding truly condemn us for something as arbitrary as where or into what faith we were born? In this video, we're going to explore these inconsistencies and ask the bigger question: have we misunderstood God? The Bible speaks of a God who created humanity in his image. Yet we are told repeatedly of how flawed and sinful we are. And for these flaws that by design we cannot overcome, we are condemned. Think about this for a moment. What kind of God creates something knowing it is fundamentally flawed, and then punishes it for being exactly what it was created to be? What's the point? The Torah, the Hebrew Bible, is really a story of failure, a story of God's so-called chosen people failing to live up to their covenant, their part of the agreement with God. Time and again we see punishment meted out for their failings, and yet, as I observed, their God has repeatedly used the stick, and apparently so far to no avail. Is that love? Is that justice? Or is it a reflection of our inability to understand what God truly is? Each religion lays claim to the true God. Catholics insist that their path is the only way. Protestants, Greek Orthodox, Jews, each say the same. But here's the question: if they are right, what happens to everyone else? That alleged condemnation by their respective God means that one can be condemned simply by virtue of an accident of birth. This is the inconsistency at the heart of religious exclusivity. If Jesus himself were alive today, would he not, by the logic of many Christians, be condemned? After all, he was a Jew. He practiced Judaism, not Christianity. And yet these religious systems claim to speak for him. It simply cannot be right. If there is one true God, then all these exclusive claims cannot be true simultaneously. Some might argue that none of them are, and if none of them are, where does that leave us? With a vengeful, exclusive God who encourages division, violence, and hatred? Or with a misunderstanding of what God truly is? To understand the problem with God as portrayed by the Abrahamic religions, we must first understand this: God is not human. God is not a jealous king, nor a vengeful judge. These are simplistic ideas, perhaps useful for children, but inadequate for a mature understanding. For a child, things are initially kept simple in terms of, you can do this, or you must not do that. But as an adult, we learn to understand why and then make choices. St. Paul said it best. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became an adult, I put an end to childish ways. So why do we cling to childish understandings of God? The truth is that God is neither outside us nor separate from us. As I explained in the book, when we come to look at the teaching of Jesus and Kabbalah, we see that the God they talk about isn't human. For them, it's an energy, a power. God is the source energy from which all the observable universe came into being, including you and I. It's not that God punishes us, but that we punish ourselves by failing to recognize what God truly is. When we act as though we are gods unto ourselves, when we think, speak, and act with ego rather than humility, we disconnect from the divine energy. And that disconnection, that absence of God, is what creates the misery we endure. Hell is the absence of God. Perhaps it's time we moved beyond these anthropomorphic portrayals of God and began to see the divine as it truly is, not a person, but the infinite energy and source that underpins all existence. So where does this leave us? If we strip away the anthropomorphic trappings and the exclusivity of religion, we are left with a profound truth. God is not a being that judges us, but a source of energy that connects us, a power that flows through all of creation. Once we understand God from that perspective, the teachings of Jesus and Kabbalah are understandable and make sense on their terms. This isn't a rejection of God, it's an invitation to explore God more deeply, to let go of childish understandings and embrace the mystery, the energy, the source. What do you think? Are you ready to rethink your understanding of God? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if this resonates with you, consider subscribing for more explorations like this and share it with someone who would appreciate it. You can find my books and more of my work in the description down below. Thank you for watching. See you next time.